Hello and welcome to this episode of The Love Experiment. I am massively, hugely interested in the power of love to change everything for the better, no matter how impossible that looks and however bad things get. And this experiment is me deep diving into that, seeing if that's possible and inviting you to play along with me to make the decision to live from love, not fear, and see what shows up for you. So in this episode, I'm going to start with a quote by Jack Pranskey, who is a 3 principles teacher. Do look him up if you've never heard of him. I'm going to share this quote, and if you don't know what the 3 principles are, do look up Sydney Banks and the 3 principles. They are a spiritual understanding of how life works, an explanation for how it is we are having the experience we are having, and it helps us more deeply understand who we are. So this is the quote that I'm going to start with. All we are is peace, love and wisdom, and the power to create the illusion we're not. And that really, truly knowing that, an embodied, deep understanding, knowing of that is enough to entirely change your world. So how do we do that? How do we get an embodied understanding of that? Well, let's start with that quote. In that quote, it says, all we are is peace, love and wisdom. So we're starting with a truth. That is who you are. Nothing, absolutely nothing that happens can change that. And that for me is what the love experiment is. That's what we're doing. That's what we're looking at. Is that true? Is it true that absolutely nothing that happens to me can change that? And for me, and for all of us, I believe, the only thing that can prove that to ourselves, we have to live this and prove it to ourselves. Words, all of the words I'm sharing with you here, all of this pointing, all of this I'm doing, it has its place and it's useful. I have found my teachers, my mentors, the people who point for me, like Jack Pranskey, Sydney Banks, Eckhart Tolle, Abraham Hicks, Byron Katie, Jesus, the Bible, all of these things that have pointed me in this direction, I have found them hugely helpful. But actually making a decision to live in this way for myself, to see for myself what happens, that's been the game changer. So there's no shortcut to that. People like me can share these things and invite you to use your own wisdom, look inside yourself and live, play in this arena and see what happens, because your lived experience will give you deep insights and deep knowing into the fact that you are peace, love and wisdom, with the ability to create the illusion you're not. So take this video. I decided this morning I was going to make this video, and then pretty much straight away the thinking started. Well, you won't say the right words, you won't do it right, you're not good enough, nobody will watch your video, blah 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 blah. I like that when I do because the information is not in the details of what the thinking was saying, and sometimes I'm not even aware of what the thinking is saying, but it's in the feeling. So one of the reasons when I have that kind of thinking, I would way more use thinking, is because that represents the feeling of those kinds of thoughts. They hurt me. They don't feel nice. They don't come with a good feeling. I feel insecure and like I shouldn't be doing. I shouldn't be making this video. Now, what I know is all I am is the peace, love and wisdom that I seek. Those thoughts take me away from that peace, love and wisdom. And that uncomfortable feeling is telling me that it's taking me away from the truth of who I am. So if I come back, like in this video, and decide to show up, when I go inside and look for the peace, love and wisdom that I am, sure enough, there it is. And the video gets made. And sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes the thinking is stronger. But an understanding of the truth of this, the more that I understand this about myself. What I see is in those moments when that thinking comes up, and sometimes it can be a much worse feeling than that, absolutely terrifying thought. But when it comes up, through looking in this direction, through getting curious about, am I the peace, love and wisdom that is behind that underpins that this thinking can arise in? Am I that? Is it true that I am the peace, love and wisdom? If I get curious and start to ask, start to look in the direction of, is it possible that it is there? It always, always, always is. I always find that. And for me, that is how our lived experience changes this. This is what I mean by the love experiment. It's like in those moments when your thinking says, in whatever way, some version of, it's not enough, there's not enough, you're not enough, in whatever way that shows up, and I guarantee it won't feel nice. If we can just move beneath that feeling, and I know sometimes and initially it's hard to do that, but if we can just look for what else is there. And for me, it feels to me the way that I am speaking about that, the way that it is making sense, and it won't be the same for everyone, it won't, and your lived experience will be the thing that teaches you. But for me, what I see, it feels like God speaks to me, and it feels like that peace, love and wisdom is God speaking to me. And I can see, now I know that has always been true, even in my deepest, darkest moments. And I know that this is true for you. And I also know, because this has been my experience too, that there have been some deep, dark moments where it really hasn't felt like that. My ability to create the illusion that that's not true has been so powerful that it has wiped out any ability for me to see this truth. But playing in this arena, looking, getting curious, am I love? Can I live from love? Has opened up things that just have blown my mind that I never knew were possible. That actually, when I start to play with and look in this direction, I'm blown away by what happens. And then through understanding more deeply in that way, as I said at the beginning, when I made the decision to make this video, a not nice feeling arose in me. All of these ideas of not being good enough, what's the point, nobody will watch it, blah blah blah, again. But what I could see is a separation. I knew that thinking wasn't me. I am the observer of that thinking. And learning to understand that I am the observer of that thinking opens a space for me to just slightly move my focus to something different. Let's just make the video and see. I don't have to post it. I don't have to do anything. Let's just make it. And that thought becomes a possibility. That more loving, more open, more aligned with this truth of who I am, that possibility wakes up. So I'm going to invite you to listen to this quote. All you are is the peace, love and wisdom that you are always seeking, and the ability to create the illusion you're not. The illusion. It's an illusion. And once we see through an illusion, once we understand, magic tricks are absolutely brilliant, and very, very often my mind, I see somebody do a bad magic trick and I'm like, whoa, I don't know how that works. Then when I see how it works, I can almost not unsee that knowing. And yet I can, with the illusion that how we create our life in this elusive way, we can easily fall back into really appreciating and enjoying the illusion of life and how it works. But once we have this knowing, this is what creates this separation and this possibility. If the magic tricks have turned to black magic, dark magic, and magic we don't like, the illusion, if it's turned in that direction, we have the ability to see through it, to know this. because our hearts and the love, the peace and the wisdom that we truly are is more powerful than anything. So I'm going to invite you to play with that. And I would love your comments. I would love to know what you're hearing in these videos and what you're seeing, because sharing in community is a great way to help each other. Do look at the show notes, because there are other ways to dive more deeply with me into this if you would wish to. Have a great day, and I will see you in the next video. Take care. Bye for now.